So let's talk about this man of steel thing. It is not, as you've probably already guessed, it's not a conversation about my biceps, it's not a conversation about comic books. Your businesses are like your babies, right? What I do think, particularly when you have been the business in the past, a lot of the entrepreneurs I've talked to can take our businesses very personally. It's a positive in comparison to someone who's just thrown money at the problem, and the business is the equivalent of, do we feel emotional about a stock that we've invested in? Basically, what you're gonna do is do the opposite of the straw man argument and essentially take the other person's position, take the argument in this case of why might someone choose a competitor over me. Let's talk about the man of steel, and no, I'm not talking about my absolutely glorious, incredibly huge peak of male physique and testosterone biceps, natty for life, in case you're wondering and or surprised. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the man of steel. And so beautiful people, you're in the right place. If you're a gym owner, personal trainer, fitness pro, box owner that is looking to grow your gym, grow your business in ways that you, your community, your team, your family, the people you serve, and not least importantly, your bank account are gonna feel absolutely awesome about. So let's talk about this man of steel thing. It is not, as you've probably already guessed, it's not a conversation about my biceps, it's not a conversation about comic book. Your businesses are kind of like your babies, right? If you don't love it, and I was gonna say, oh yeah, we all love our businesses. Well, we don't always love our businesses, but I do think, particularly when you have been the business in the past, or maybe you still are the business now, right? You're a one-man or a one-woman show. It can still feel very personal to us, right? The things that happen in our business, I'll raise my hand here. We're not a small operation anymore. We've got a ton of clients. There's a lot going on. However, it still stings and hurts when we lose in a given area, or we have a client that's unhappy for whatever reason. Like, those things still hurt. It still pains me to, I still very much am not out of the realm of kind of taking things personally. And so being that we take our businesses, or we tend, I think a lot of the entrepreneurs I've talked to can take our businesses very personally, which I think is a good thing, right? I think it means that we care a lot. It's a positive in comparison to, someone who's just thrown money at the problem, and the business is the equivalent of, do we feel emotional about a stock that we've invested in, right? Or the S&P, whatever it is. Like, maybe, but probably stinking not, right? You don't feel an emotional reaction when someone has chosen an Android over an iPhone in some other state 100 miles away. It doesn't work that way. But with our businesses, when someone makes a decision to do something else, it can hurt. And rather than to take what might be the typical sort of mindset on some of these things, oh yeah, they're just, the client's an idiot. They chose the gym down the street. They don't know what they're missing, blah, blah, blah. Our competitors are all shit. All those different fun arguments, rather than taking what might be a straw man, right, argument, and the idea, somewhere we might be able to do the graphics and throw up the actual definition of a straw man argument. But basically the idea, if you're not familiar with that concept, is, you're kind of having a debate, an argument with somebody, and rather than give the opponent's argument any sort of real credit, or consider their position with any sort of honesty, you basically take the ideas that they have and the positions that they have, and you almost like reduce to ridiculous. You take an extreme reach scenario and you look at the arguments, you kind of make some extreme reaches, and you reduce the argument to where it's essentially completely unfair, right? You reduce it to ridiculous, it's unfair, and frankly, I don't think that's a very healthy way to have any sort of real constructive argument or debate. What I think is potentially a more useful frame to take, it's certainly been useful for me, I think it was useful for the members at the mastermind the other day, is the man of steel argument, or the steel man, right, argument. I said man of steel because of comic books and all that stuff, right? I think it's a catchier way to talk about it. But basically what you're going to do is do the opposite of the straw man argument, and essentially take the other person's position, take the argument in this case of why might someone choose a competitor over me, and try to really take an honest look. This is difficult, right? It might be good as an exercise with other people that you trust, but why might someone, what are the strongest arguments for someone choosing a competitor over me? What are they doing that we're not? What are areas that they're doing better than we are? What are areas that they are doing things that we're not, necessarily doing yet? What are areas that we are vulnerable to our competitors that we may just, have sort of ignored and not let get into our headspace at all? And what we found is that, what I found personally, is that this can be a very, very, very valuable thought exercise to do from time to time, just to, it's similar to a lot of times people in their quarterly meetings and whatnot will do a SWOT analysis, right? Or a SWOT exercise, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I think that's a super useful thing to do as well, right? It certainly has its place. However, I think a lot of times we can kind of have those rose-colored glasses and look at things maybe less honestly than we might if we say, all right, if I was looking at our competitive landscape, right, through the eyes of someone in my target market, what are the strongest arguments against doing business with us? What are the strongest arguments that they might have? What story might they be able to tell themselves based on the information that your target market has? I think that's maybe one of the most important little nuggets of this thought exercise. Based on the information that you have out there, right, why might your target market choose something else over you? Now, step one is to really, it's kind of hard, right? Because sometimes we don't necessarily feel as great about our competition as maybe it would lead to a more healthy discussion on this exercise, or a more healthy sort of production or output, right, from this thought exercise. However, if we can first put ourselves in that honest space and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. This is going to be useful. Let's take the blood pressure down. Let's take any of the personal stuff that you might feel about your competitors out of your brain if you can. Set it aside. And then again, from the seat of someone in your target market, why might someone choose to do business with a competitor over you? And then your next handful of steps is there may be things that they are doing better. There may be things that, you know what, like if I'm being honest, they do a way better job with, putting content out there. They do a way better job producing testimonials. They do a way better job of being out in the community. They're, if you look at, if you have a gym member machine client, right, that's in your competitive landscape, you might say, gosh, like they have their shit together from a website front. Their website looks absolutely incredible compared to ours. You might say, gosh, like they are all over the place with their ads. I see their ads all the time, what have you, if you happen to be in the target market of the people that we're advertising to, right? But gosh, like they have constantly refreshed copy. Their imagery is always like up to date. They're always changing things, so on and so forth. And so what you want to do is look for and really do some research and find some things, hopefully give you some ideas to make your business better and really strengthen your business and fortify your business against the competition so you can, crush all of their dreams and buttfuck their souls and step on their throats and dance on their graves or whatever it is, right? The different things that we want to do to our competition. And so what I invite you to do is to go through this exercise and really think about, hey, why might somebody choose a competitor over me? What are they doing that we're not? Where are they beating us? Where are we not doing as much as they are in a given area? And what you're going to end up with is there going to be some things that are totally acceptable to you, right? So say that all you do is train, men and women over 50 or whatever it is, and this other gym does an incredible job with their athletes, right? They're marketing their athletes constantly, whatever it is. Well, that's okay, right? Why might someone choose our gym or their gym over ours? Well, if they're an athlete or they think more athletic or whatever it is, well, that might be something that is acceptable to you. There may also be some things where if you look at it honestly, you might say, gosh, you know what? We really maybe should consider putting some more effort into this area. Does that mean that you should chase what your competition is doing? No, right? Because a lot of times our competition is not very smart, right? So there are situations where it's like, yeah, like you can copy XYZ ad, but like turns out this ad isn't doing very well, right? You can do what you want. You can copy XYZ format of content or whatever it might be, but turns out maybe this thing isn't working, right? So I am not telling you to go copy your competition. What I am telling you to do is to use this as a thought exercise to potentially find some ideas on how to strengthen yourself, how to further your position in the market, how to create, as I like to call it, a more unfuckwithable business, right? How do we shore up the areas where we might be weak? Are there opportunities where, you know what, I can't go play in this sandbox right now, but we could totally crush with this, and I think we have some real strengths and opportunities in this area. Let's go shore up this portion of what we're doing and take that opportunity to make our business better. And what I'll tell you here is that the more humble that we can be as entrepreneurs when we go through this exercise, the more honest we can be with ourselves on, you know what, I really think this is a weakness of ours compared to the competition. I think they do a better job of communicating XYZ to the target market. I think they do a better job here. The more that we can look at it honestly and with some humility, the more useful this exercise is going to be. I don't want you to take this as oh my gosh, I need to do everything my competition is doing, because a lot of times your competition is not doing that well. So this is not an excuse for you to say, oh, you know what, like they're charging pennies. I need to charge pennies. It is not about that at all. But my hope is that if you do go through this exercise, you may find some things where it's like, you know what? I notice those guys in the community all the time, and we don't do anything with the local community. Gosh, maybe we could do more of that. Does that fit into our priorities for this month, this quarter, this year? If it doesn't, are our other priorities maybe less impactful? Because I think what this exercise can maybe uncover for you are some things that, gosh, you know what? That was kind of a blind spot of ours. We weren't really considering going in this direction at all. But when I look at it from the outside view, if I, put myself in the frame of, all right, if I had some sort of like highfalutin gym business consultant looking at this, would they say, yeah, I think it makes a lot more sense for you to focus on this thing than this thing? In which case, you now have something more valuable that you can shift and make a top priority for yourself and hopefully make your business better faster than just doing whatever the ideas were that you got in your head. I'll tell you that when I've gone through this exercise personally, when we take, business owners who are willing to kind of be humble and really think through this, it has always ended up leading to at least one little nugget that's useful. It doesn't have to be an entire month project for you. This can be something that you might take half an hour or an hour, really brainstorm, look at some things, and come up with some stuff that's useful. But I'll tell you that it's served us really well, right? It's helped us sort of stay ahead of the market and innovate in better ways, so on and so forth. And I hope it'll be useful to you. So that's what we got for today. Love, hugs, all that shiz, and we'll see you in the next episode.